are here listening to America's longest running daily radio show and Florida's number one radio about real estate. My name is Eric Willner, and we are here 5 days a week, 5 p.m. live, and that's Eastern time, and also 5 different ways that you can tune in and listen to our show. First, on our AM 1470, on the FM dial, 95.3, 96.9. On the app, you can also take us with you. All you have to do is download one of the free apps, such as the radio.com Money Talk Radio. All of these things are part of the Money Talk Radio network. And we're here live another way on our website. All you have to do is remember this one place to find us everywhere at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. The one website that you want to remember for all of your real estate investment information. Just go there 5 days a week, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And not only 5 days a week, you can listen to us there. You also catch us on Sunday nights. So the shows back to back. So we got a great show for you today as we start the week off. Every Monday, we kind of theme this show our Monday on a mission. And we kind of set up the agenda for the week. And probably wouldn't hurt to start talking about some of the highlight topics in the real estate headlines right now. One of the challenges that we're hearing about on a regular basis is what's going on with the evictions and between landlords and tenants. And to what I have found out was quite a few people surprised that didn't realize that there were evictions going on right now as we speak. Even though there is a moratorium, the moratorium is specific as to who it applies to. Now, while the moratorium as far as evictions applies to those affected by COVID. So if you weren't affected legitimately, and the judge will ask certain questions, you'll need to prove it. If it was not due to the effect of COVID, then it's not covered. It's not just automatic. You don't need to pay if you don't want to, period of time. And so some tenants are finding out that this was not exactly a free ride, and more importantly, that is not a forgiveness. So if there wasn't the amounts paid, or even if the judge allows you to continue to not pay, well, guess what? The meter is still running. Amounts are still accruing. After all, the landlord probably has an accruing amount on his mortgage balance. Taxes are still due, insurance is still due, and so is the mortgage. So it's kind of interesting. Now, there is a sort of a gray area in there, and landlord attorneys usually are doing a good job of vetting to make sure, is this a COVID case? Talk a little bit more about that later on in the program, or perhaps later on in the week. I wanted to give you kind of the high points of what we're talking about during this whole entire week. Kind of an interesting article, house lifting. People are doing all sorts of home improvements, right, during this whole COVID period time. And so we've seen the home improvement business boom. We've seen the real estate business boom. We've seen the mortgage business boom. But house lifting, and that is literally what it sounds like. That is taking a house and raising it a certain elevation, and namely because of all the storms in the past and the increased value of the real estate. Well, if you want to keep that real estate, you want to protect it from a lot of these storms, flooding, hurricanes, etc., then perhaps raising it a few feet makes a lot of sense. In fact, originally and literally, and it's kind of a really, it's a very interesting process to watch them as they pour. So hydraulic pumps start to lift the house. And so what you can, once the house and the foundation rise up enough, then they start to create a foundation underneath. So the house hasn't moved in these cases. Now, there are cases where they actually lift it up and then they put the house, and you might have seen this one time driving down the highway where it was a house on top of one of these wide load trailers, and you can literally move a house from one place to another. But what I'm talking about is lifting a house in its place where a house and building a foundation wall. As the hydraulics start to lift it a little higher, they put in another layer of block, lift it a little higher, another layer of block. And then once they've gotten the first floor or the elevation to where they want it, the hydraulic lift comes back down, and then they remove the I-beams, and voila, you have a house there. What's kind of interesting, and I was involved in a project a few years back where a church was expanding its building where there were 3 historic houses, and they literally, yes, those houses could be moved. And so I did a lot of studying and research in the consulting that we did for that move. And so when I saw this article, I thought it would be kind of interesting to share, because most people don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. But it's on Atlantic Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, where the city-owned property, where they're obviously going to preserve it and have it as a museum. So that's kind of cool. But fundamentally, what's this all a reflection of? This is all a reflection of the fact that real estate has become so much more valuable. Land has become so much more valuable, and therefore it's worth moving properties. It's worth improving properties, expanding, raising. Just another form of home improvement that a lot of people don't speak about. During the week, we always cover what our sort of ongoing theme is. And one of the things that I thought would be a really important thing that's going on with the moratoriums, and I think there's a strong consensus that a lot of those suspended animation, the artificial support in the marketplace, are going to be lifted sometime in the not too distant future. So in the meantime, what's very interesting, we're going to talk about this, is that a lot of the states are actually struggling to give out some $45 billion in rental assistance, landlord assistance, basically designated towards real estate. And I'm even going to tell you later on in the week about a very interesting incentive to own a house or haven't owned a house in the last 3 years. We've got some very, very interesting incentives. In fact, if you want to be the first to receive the report that we're just putting the final touches on, then type the word DPA and text it to the Real Estate Show Smart Line. That's DPA. Text it to 561-861. We're going to talk about that throughout the week. We're going to talk a little bit about, obviously, last week we mentioned that one of the biggest searches on Google, up 2,400% last week, is real estate in a bubble. And we're going to talk about that and why some brokers are warning the Florida real estate market is hot, maybe a little bit too. On the other hand, March housing starts are back in, revved up. They surged 19.4% versus the very far behind the. So I anticipate that these, particularly the ones that are first to market, those are going to get snatched up and snapped up very, very, very quickly. So we've got a couple more headlines I want to talk about as we start to get our focus and our agenda for the week. I'm going to talk about what we're going to talk about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and this coming Friday. So we're going to take a quick break, hear a few words from our sponsors. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to The Real Estate Show. My name is Eric Willner, and we will be. Let's see what's going on here. All right, well, looks like our YouTube is good. The other hand is not so cooperative during the break here. Interesting, huh? All right, we're coming back. And welcome back. For those of you just joining us here on the Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate, America's longest running daily radio show all about real estate. You know, the market's still hot, interest rates are still low, and lots going on new, but certainly new in the headlines. This booming business of lifting houses. And you can see where in a low-lying state like Florida, which is a peninsula surrounded by water. There's no place in Florida that's more than 90 minutes from the beach. Which is kind of interesting. And as a result of being right in the path of hurricane season, it's also not a surprise that those folks that want to keep their properties and stay safe during some of these storms and occasional hurricanes, that having a property that's elevated from the flood surge. And believe it or not, there's more damage done by the floods often than by wind damage. So kind of an interesting area. Interesting contrast also in the news is New York could suffer as Florida real estate remains hot. So, there's this constant debate going on. Is the market too hot? Is the market too cold? Is the market, or is it just right? Then later on in the week, Mondays we set the agenda. We talk about the theme, and we're going to talk quite a bit about the eviction, the landlord-tenant kind of dance that's going on right now. We want to talk a little bit later on in the week about financing. On our Thursday show, we always talk about the money. That's why we call it the ATM show, about the money. And we're going to be talking about some financing options. I had an interest. Like many people, he's getting lots of phone calls from the mortgage companies. In fact, he was saying he gets probably a call every. There's a lot of marketing for mortgages right now. There's a lot of telemarketing for mortgages going on right now. But to be quite frank, it still requires verifiable income. It still requires good credit scores, and it still requires verification of assets and equity in the property. So it's not as straightforward, and some of the folks that try to sort of do it on themselves in the best light possible and find out, unfortunately, that they're not able for the excellent financing that's out there, about financing in the 3% arena. I always tell people that you should run, not walk, to your qualified mortgage professional to get one and lock in, just imagine locking in a 3% rate for the next 30 years. One thing we know with the pent long before interest rates will follow. Now, it may take 6, may take 12 months to see a real significant increase, but are we going to see 3% rates for the long run? Only those that lock it in right now. And if you have questions about it, whether now's the right time for you, or if it doesn't even make sense for you, for a complimentary, no cost, no obligation consultation about it, give us a call. I'll give you the toll-free landlord.com, or call us on our toll-free number. Again, no cost, no obligation, 888. That's 888-595-7779. That's 888-595-7777, as the doctors always like to say. So let's spend a couple more minutes talking about this whole dilemma that the states are having, unable to give out money. And you would wonder, how hard is it to give out $45 billion in rental assistance as evictions continue? Well, apparently it is pretty hard. Some states have already exhausted and closed. Some states haven't even opened yet, and other states are. I'm going to put a link later on tonight. I'm going to put a link on our website at automaticlandlord.com. On that link, I will have all of the information on where you can apply and where you can get the information for your particular states. But states, again, that's part of the problem, is that they're looking for proof, verification that they have a lease, that they owe money on rent, and why they couldn't pay it themselves. Then they need also a validation or verification from the landlords, and some landlords are finding themselves in a quandary whether to sign that cooperative paperwork, because there are strings attached in that check as well. So one of the things, like I said, we have allocated over $45 billion. And that's, of course, nationwide. Um, and this is designed, at least that's what it originally was designed to help Americans who lost their job. So does that disqualify them if they've come back? And can you get back rent? This is all of the stuff that we're going to try to clear up for you during this week. On our Monday, as we set out our agenda, Tuesday, our tools, tips, and techniques. We're going to talk about the tools, where to go, who to ask, and give you some questions about what to ask and how to get your odds, increase your odds of getting some of that assistance money if you need that money to get caught up, to get paid, and to create some stability for you. The next person who is unstable is the landlord, and even more so than the tenant, the landlord has signed, a stack of papers called the mortgage documents that now promise the property as collateral if the landlord can't pay. And if somebody else is occupying and using the property and they're not paying, the landlord isn't going. As many as 1 in 5 renters have been unable to keep up with their housing payments. That's 20%, including are African American renters. So obviously there's going to be a lot of conversation about that as well. However, the rollout of the relief isn't coming fast enough. And you just imagine that when the pandemic started now 11 and 3/4 months ago, so we're now talking about, 12 and 3/4 months ago, there may be renters out there that haven't paid rent in a year. Now, imagine how is that going to get caught up without some assistance? There are landlords that haven't been paid in a year, and some of them are COVID protection that they can't foreclose on a landlord because he can't do the evictions. Again, qualified legal help. We can certainly help point you in the right direction. Hopefully, you go check out our website at Automatic Landlord for more information that we'll be posting there later on tonight. As you can see, this is a pretty important thing. And the time to not later on when they lift the eviction, because by then the money will have ran out. You want to do this now while some of the states still may have some. There are even a couple of states, Montana, Minnesota, where all the hoopla is going on right now, not even open yet. The important states like Texas, uncertain. Hawaii, Texas is open. Florida, uncertain in many of the categories. So you'll definitely want to tune it in here to the Real Estate Show. Remember, we are here live Monday through Friday. We're live here on the AM, the FM, the apps, on our website at automaticlandlord.com. And then again on our Facebook Live. Hopefully you're out there sharing that information to other folks that could benefit from this information. This is going to be a very, very critical week. For today, this is your host, Eric Willner, signing off for The Real Estate Show. We'll be back again tomorrow, same place, same time. Until then, drive safe, keep washing those hands, and make it a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you, sir. All righty. You too. As they say, boom. And then it